Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really fun knife unboxing to share with you guys. This is available. It's on the website. I just checked. You can actually buy it. Myron's losing their minds, but I mean, like, in the best way possible. I love that they're willing to make this stuff. It's so fun. I do know exactly what this is. I haven't actually got it out yet, but I know exactly what it is. Thanks so much to Miguron for sending this in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Like I said, links in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. What do we have? Oh, we all knew this was coming. This is the new... Well, they probably have a specific name for it. Not that we're going to be able to read it. So anyways, this is the new Miguron Geddon. I would argue that the Geddon is more popular than the Arma, but this is the new Geddon with the DLC. God, that is so cool, man. That is so cool. I can't stop loving these overbuilt knives. I can't stop it, but Miguron does such a good job with that satin DLC. Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. So, if you don't know, you know that Miguron makes the Arma and they make the Geddon, and that's on purpose, right? There's a story with that. I suggested those names. They had one original overbuilt knife, design involved, and then they turned it into two, and they said, what should we call this? And I said, just call them both. Call one the Arma, call one the Geddon, right? It's kind of almost like an intentionally cringy joke, because these tend to be looked at in both an ironic and unironic way, like in terms of apocalypse folding knives, right? So, but anyways, they had released the original Geddon in a satin finish, which was really nice. M390, and I think their HRC range is pretty solid, but no DLC option. Then they released the Arma XL, which I actually have right here. What am I talking about? The original Geddon is right here, right? So they released this one, and then they released this one, and they had I guess the original Arma was the smaller version, right? But then they released an Arma XL, which is the same overall length and thickness as the Geddon. It looks slightly thinner, but that's because the Geddon has a hard 90-degree angle at the edge, while this is heavily beveled. It's actually the same thickness at about 310 thousandths, which we'll measure here in a second. But I think out of everything, I do like the satin one. I've really enjoyed this. Super smooth. I think out of everything, my number one favorite overbuilt knife that they make as of right now is the DLC Geddon. I think that is the perfect, because you get the big, crazy, shiny DLC blade, M390, compound. I guess it's not really a tangent, it's just a compound ground drop point, whatever you want to call that. Contoured and textured titanium. I think there's only like a $10 difference between these two. I've mentioned this many times. Miguron is far and away, specifically if you're into these big, ultra chunky overbuilt knives. Like if you ever looked at Medford knives, it's definitely like inspired by that look, that Medford created between specifically the Praetorian tie and the Medford Marauder. Without it, he doesn't own long ovals or traditional pocket knife handle shapes or blade shapes, right? So definitely after that same aesthetic, right? If you ever looked at those and thought, wow, cool, except I don't have $900 to $2,000 lying around to spend money on something like this. Miguron actually makes bigger and thicker, and in my opinion, more premium versions of those for substantially less money. How are they doing this? Well, they're manufactured in China. That's the only way that they can do it, right? But yeah, actually the 310 thousandths on the spine of the Geddon and the Arma XL, it's actually even thicker than the Praetorian tie, the big, crazy, thick one, right? To me, it kind of looks like, it's a lot like what happens when you mix the Medford Marauder and the Praetorian tie together. They are stupidly overbuilt, but also really, really premium feeling. And, for people wanting to pick stuff like this up, just to put a smile on your face, that's the whole reason that I collect stuff like this. I have a specific case for these big, wonky, crazy overbuilt knives because I just love them. You can definitely EDC them. You can use them. I mean, they are... The factory edge is definitely sharp enough to slice. It's just going to be... It's a very, very cumbersome geometry. But you can see there, No problem. It's just a really thick geometry. But for people, who like stuff like this and just want to put a smile on your face, these are incredibly competitive when you're comparing directly with other overbuilt products of the same quality and nature as these. And I'm not necessarily talking about strength of the lock. I'm talking about the excessively thick, crazy materials. At 310 thousandths of M390, DLC or not, and, titanium scales of ridiculous thickness, right? Contoured or not. Comparing these with a regular pocket knife, yes, these are expensive. I think this new DLC version of the Geddon runs $359. Yeah, it's an expensive knife, but again, compared to any other knife that has the same length, thickness, dimensions, materials, right? There's no other knife on the market that even comes close to the same ratios when you include the price tag. These are so much less expensive than everything else. Still, though, for the vast majority of people, this is probably not going to be an incredibly useful item. But there's still a ton of people out there like me who just love to see what the next big, crazy, overbuilt knife is going to be. Between these two, right, because I'm always going to prefer the DLC. If you are looking on their website right now and you're thinking, which should I go with? The Arma XL or the new Geddon with the DLC blade? So, personally, love the look of the Geddon more than I do the Arma XL. I also really appreciate the contouring. When it comes down to ergonomics, though, the Arma XL absolutely takes the cake. This is comfortable. It's not bad, right? It's just kind of, there's these odd like humps and things in there that make you feel like you have to be specifically locked in. This has that too, but only in one place. Back here, it feels a lot more like I can kind of move around because this part right here, this lock-in for your index finger, isn't quite as aggressive. But you lose the benefit of it being contoured, which adds a specific level of comfort. This also, in my opinion, right, this is very subjective, these are both brutish knives. You're probably not buying this knife if you want something that's light and, dainty and tactical and, agility based. Right? If you're going to be doing a lot of cartwheels and round-offs with your pocket knife, probably not the best knife to have in your pocket. But the one that sort of captures the brute theme better is definitely the Geddon. As far as slicing, like cutting performance, I don't know. This does not have a hollow grind. The Geddon does. It actually is slightly hollow, so I guess it might slice a little bit better. But I think the one that's just going to be, I don't know, that feels more like the usable tool if you're going to use it that way. It can be used that way, but it is in no way optimized versus a standard pocket knife, right? You're essentially paying extra money just for the fact that it is big, wild, crazy, overbuilt, right? A regular pocket knife is definitely going to make your life a little easier. The one that feels like it's more designed as a proper tool, honestly, is the Arma XL. It just has that sort of whale shark look, We see that in like the Shaman and the my own design, the Excalibur, or like the Miguron Moyarl for sure. I think the Miguron Moyarl very much is kind of right around that same aesthetic, right? And it's for good reason. It definitely works. Right? Add a flipper in here, and that's kind of what it looks like. But really cool. I'm glad that they decided to do this. The craziest part of all this, you'd think, okay, they've covered all the bases. They're not gonna keep going with it. It's not gonna get any crazier, right? According to Miguron, it is gonna get crazier. That's all I'm gonna say about that, because I imagine they'll send that in when it's time. But this is a cool release. So as of right now, they're available. As of the time of this upload, they're available. So you can check out the links in the description. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on the Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.